Welcome to the Kansan Fall Football Preview Show. My name is Brian Hillix and I'll be your host. To my left, we have our Kansan football beat writers, Stella Liang, Dan Harmson, and Shane Jackson. And today we're just going to be talking about the football season. What did we see at fall camp? What are some encouraging signs? What are some signs that are ominous about the season? As well as previewing the upcoming season, which games are we looking forward to, as well as predictions as well. So we'll go ahead and get it started. What did you guys learn at fall camp? There was a lot that happened, so what were some big takeaways?
Well, my first takeaway is the music was awesome. As soon as you walk into the gates, it felt like you were a player because they just blared the music. But, first of all, after stretching, they would get into their first drill, and I would focus on the spread offense because naturally that's what everybody was talking about. And I just learned that, the spread offense is going to be fun to watch. It doesn't really matter. Like, they're gonna mess up. You saw a couple times, but Kozart was able to calm down. Even as a sophomore, you can tell the leadership there. I'm just really impressed with this spread offense. I know it was against no defense, so it doesn't really count, but I'm really looking forward to the spread offense this year.
I've seen a lot of smiles this year, and I think that's changed from years past because a lot of times when things went wrong for Kansas football, you'd see the heads hang down, and things wouldn't go so well. But now, I think they think they're turning the corner here, and they've got some signs on defense, a lot of big defensive backs that can make some plays. So I think things are looking up.
I'm mostly impressed with Montel Kozart and just how confident he is and what kind of leader he's turning into. And when he speaks, he's composed. And he says he's been working on his accuracy, which was a problem last year. And so hopefully with him leading the offense that he can calm the offense down.
That's a perfect transition. So we will talk about the offense now. Quarterback play has been such a shaky position for so long at Kansas. We really haven't had a strong quarterback since Todd Reesing back in 2009. What's the offense going to look like this year?
Yeah, only once since 2011 has Kansas had a quarterback that started all 12 games. And that was Jordan Webb, but that was kind of negated by the fact that the defense was one of the worst in history. So, having a quarterback like Kozart who can run the ball well, you got Reagan's new offense with the spread. I think he gives Kansas that added ability to, when the play breaks down, he can make something happen himself, whereas Heaps didn't have that opportunity. But yeah, you've got some wide receivers that you can throw the ball to this year. Nick Harwell's going to be eligible. He's proven it at the college level. We've had questions about transfers lately, but he's a guy that has shown he can compete at the college level. So
I think the offense can get a lot more points this year with a steady quarterback. And Weiss has said that even with the new spread offense that it's going to be more of a run-first mentality. So I think the running backs are going to give their chances to run. And then with the wide receiver, like Dan said, that they're going to be more consistent and be able to catch the balls.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the offense, and mainly because of the new offensive scheme with spread offense. But let's not go overboard because there's still only 4 touchdown passes between the 3 quarterbacks, and that's from your backup quarterback, Michael Cummings. And so if you want Kozart to play, he hasn't got a touchdown pass. He completed just 36% of his passes, and now you're looking at running backs who, in your entire backfield, you don't have a single person that had a carry in a Kansas uniform. So suddenly, there's a lot of question marks. I do think the wide receiver core is the strongest it's been in many years, so maybe that will be the strong unit of this offense.
Yeah, the Kansas offense was ranked among the bottom of the Big 12 in almost every category, so they will look to turn that around this season. On August 19th, the team received some bad news. There's top 2 running backs on the depth chart, Brandon Bourbon and Taylor Cox, both seniors, were announced out for the season. Taylor Cox is out with a torn Achilles tendon, and Brandon Bourbon tore his ACL, and these just happened this past week. So what will that do to the team? Who's going to replace him? What's the outlook with those 2 huge injuries to the offense?
I'm going to speak for myself here, but I think that you guys would agree that if going into the season, if there was one position that could withstand injuries, it would probably be the running back position. But 2 injuries, that's going to change things a little bit. You got some new faces coming in with Corey Avery at running back and DeAndre Mann. And these are guys that, they have potential. They've proven it at the lower ranks, at high school for Corey Avery and at the junior college level for DeAndre Mann. But they're going to be relied upon because, as Stella said, this is going to be a run-first type offense John Reagan's trying to implement. So we'll need to see them step up. Joe Deneen's been moved over from safety, so we'll see where it can go from there. But
If we take an even bigger step back, about 4 or 5 months ago, the Kansas running back position had 4 players who were expected to compete for time. and one of them is now ineligible, one of them transferred, and two of them are out for injuries. So I think running back is a big question mark right now, but the two incoming running backs, they've shown potential, and so we'll see where they go from there.
And you're right, running back was the position that if there was going to be an injury, that's the position that you could use one. It's just a really sad story because Bourbon and Cox have both had nice careers here. It was finally their time. They had been sitting in James Sims' footsteps for behind the shadows and forever, and finally it was their time to be the guy. Although we are really excited about Corey Avery and DeAndre Mann, it's just really sad for them. But I'm really excited for Corey Avery. He's a guy that, as a freshman in high school, he did it in Carter. He was a running back. He became the guy. And so I'm expecting big things out of both of them.
Transitioning to the defense, last year we had some promising signs that the defense was going to kind of turn a corner against TCU, an interception return for a touchdown. We don't really see that too much with the defense. This year, a lot of experience. You got Captain Ben Heaney at the linebacker position, Sendish at the safety position. So do you guys think that the defense can, the Big 12 is a loaded team or a loaded conference with a lot of offensive teams. Can they hold their ground?
I definitely think that they can. Like you said, the big key is the leadership and the experience that the defense has. I think they have 9 returning seniors who are starting, with Ben Heaney as a linebacker and Sendish and Dexter McDonald at safety. So I think that they have a chance and that they're hungry to prove that they can stay with the Big 12.
They can certainly hold their ground. Their defense, their secondary is just insane with talent. They got 6 or 7 guys that are quality Big 12 defensive backs. You're looking at a guy like Kevin Short who could start on any other team, and he's going to be in the second string defensive corner here. So I'm really happy about the secondary, and that really helps because in the Big 12, you got a lot of good quarterbacks. A lot of teams are going to pass on you, and if secondary is your weakness, like it was a year or two ago, then you're in trouble. But this year, it's the strength of their team. Clint Bowens even compared this team to the 2007 Orange Bowl secondary. And so that's a high comparison here, and I'm really excited about the secondary.
Secondary is something to look forward to watching. Also, linebacker, Ben Heaney's always going to be, Ben Heaney, he's stable, secure player that you got there. But there's some guys like Jake Love, Michael Reynolds, and this new freshman, Kyron Watson, who's shown a lot of ability. So you got some depth at linebacker. My biggest question is on the defensive line. They look a little bit smaller than they did last year. And getting after the quarterback has always been a problem at Kansas. You would hope that they would be able to step up in that rank. If not, you might see some problems because you just got to get after Big 12 quarterbacks because they can really throw the ball around.
Talking about special teams now, we had a 52-yard field goal for the win by Matthew Wyman last year. He seemed to be a kicker that could, nail that 40-yard field goal when we needed it. But then all of a sudden, he's been kind of regressing a little bit lately. What's the outlook like on special teams this year?
Well, the kicker job is definitely up for grabs. Charlie Weiss made that announcement. You saw the or on the depth chart on August 17th, the day everybody reported to camp, which means there's a position battle. But in my opinion, I think they're going to go with the experienced guy. I compare it to a lot like the Chiefs kicker battle right now. They're going to go with the experienced guy. Wyman may not be the better guy right now, and Duvik will certainly get his time. But I think they're going to go with Wyman, at least in week 1. In a big kick situations, they would rather go with the experienced guy. A special teams factor that I'm really looking forward to is the kick return. They're going to have a mixture of guys who all can have the ball in their hands. A guy like Kevin Short I just mentioned earlier, I'm really excited to see what they do back there.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you got to remember that Wyman won KU a football game last year with his kick against Louisiana Tech. So he did struggle a little bit on Fan Appreciation Day, but Duvik is a young guy, so you might have to go with Wyman. But like you said, with the return game, I'm very excited. Kevin Short's shown ability, Isaiah Johnson. I mean, you've got some serious high talented athletes there returning kicks. Punting game should be good with Trevor Pardula. He can really pin teams back as he showed last year. So yeah, I think things will be good for special teams.
I also think punting will be solid, and I agree with you that Wyman will probably start. Obviously, KU hasn't had the greatest, kicking unit in the last few years, and I think with Wyman proving himself last year, that he'll get the start.
Speaking of special teams, head coach Charlie Weiss has said that he wants to play a bigger role in the special teams. He wants to go to more of their drills and really work with them more to improve that unit. That said, he's also said he's going to take a step down from his offense and defensive roles he's had in the past. The past several years, he has been the offensive coordinator, but now he has passed that baton, so to speak. So what do you think that's going to look like? How is that going to change the offense and even the defense?
Well, it was interesting because when you get to camp, after they're stretching, they go to their first drill, and that's usually when the spread offense was doing their no huddle against a nobody defense. And then Charlie Weiss immediately would just turn around and walk towards the defensive end and focus on the defensive side of the ball. It's like he's not even looking at the offense because he doesn't. He just wants the coaches to coach. He wants to let everybody know that this is John's offense and he's not going to do anything about it. And he's made it a vow that he's going to go to basically every special teams meeting because he wants to put more of an impact there. So I'm really looking forward to Charlie Weiss getting a new role in probably his most crucial year.
For all of his mistakes so far at Kansas, Charlie Weiss has definitely been able to admit them and adapt. This is his third year in the Big 12, and he's only won 4 games. But moving to the spread offense with John Reagan, I think that's going to open some things up, especially with a running quarterback, because you were trying to run a pro-style offense with Kansas players, and that's just extremely difficult to do. As far as how it might affect the defense, I think the defense is going to be fine. Last year, they were in some compromising situations all year long. I remember the TCU game specifically. It seemed like they were playing on their half of the field the entire game, and they held up pretty well. So if the offense can, extend a few drives, get some third down, convert some first downs, things should be looking better for the defense as a whole.
I think Charlie Weiss is really emphasizing that he's taking a step back from the offense, and he's really making it known that he is going to be a bigger picture guy. And so I think that's good for the offense as a team as a whole, so that he can step back and see situations and play like that.
Absolutely. There's an exciting slate of games on the schedule. We play at Duke on September 13th, so kind of a clash of two basketball-first schools, so to speak. We've got a lot of big conference games. So which game are you guys circling on your calendar? Which game are you looking forward to the most?
I was looking through the schedule, and one game stands out to me the most, and it is the Iowa State game. And with Mark Mangino, the former KU coach, going to Iowa State, it's going to be really fun to see how he matches up and what he's like as in his return trip to Lawrence.
How can you not go with the West Virginia game? I mean, that's the game that a team that let Kansas win their second Big 12 win in the last 42 games, a team that they watched Kansas fans just tear down the goalposts. I mean, you basically got humiliated out there in front of everybody. So they're going to be looking for revenge. They're going to want to take it to Kansas. I don't think they can run away with it. We talked about it earlier. They're definitely not a talented team that they could just run away with it, and revenge may not be the best mindset they should have going into this game. I think it's a game that Kansas can take, even on the road.
I think the Duke game is not short on storylines. You got a Kansas team that hasn't won a road game in 27 straight games, 2 basketball perennial schools. But if you look back to 2009 when the teams played in Memorial Stadium, Kansas was the team that was on the upswing, and Duke was downtrodden. But now it seems like the teams have flipped. They played Texas A&M down to the wire in their bowl game. They were in the ACC championship game. Kansas has got to take advantage of this opportunity. This is year 3 in Charlie Weiss's tenure, and he's got to win a road game.
Absolutely. It's prediction time. What do you guys think our record will be, and where do you think we'll end up in the Big 12?
I've said all along for months now that it's going to be 3-9, and I can't take that back. As much as I'd love to with the running back issues and the concerns I have with this offense, because there's not a lot of experience here, I'm still going to go with it. I think you can lock down week 1 as a win. It's the only game I feel completely confident about. But like I said earlier, I think they can take a West Virginia game or an Iowa State game, and maybe perhaps if they take one, either Central Michigan or Duke, now you're looking at there's 3 wins they can get there out of 5 games. I think there's 5 games that are winnable. I think they take away 3 of them.
I hate to break your hearts, guys, but we're not beating Baylor, we're not beating Oklahoma, but I think the Big 12 might be down this year. That's just my take. The quarterback play is not as good as it has been. This is time to show what he's worth. I mean, Charlie Weiss he came here to rebuild a Kansas team that was down, and they were down. They were really down. But it's time to make the donuts, I guess. I think they're going to win 4 or 5 games this year.
Dan and I were talking about this yesterday, actually, and I said 3 games, and I still believe 3 games. The opener, maybe, or probably. Central Michigan.
Maybe.
Central Michigan, possibly, and then I'm going to go with the Iowa State game, so 3 wins.
So would that put us about 8th place, 9th place? Do you think we'll be last? What do you guys think? Where do you think we'll end up in the
If they're
standings?
taking a conference game, over an Iowa State or West Virginia, they're going to finish ahead of those games. But if their 3 wins are coming against their 3 non-conference games, then no. But I'm assuming that if you're going to get to the 3 wins or the 4 wins, you're going to be at least in the 9th place.
If Montel Cozart turns out to be a Todd Reesing, though, they pulled the red shirt last year. I think so much depends on his play. If he plays well, they could win 6. So I'm going to say 7th or 8th place.
I'm going to go with 9th.
What would you say is the best case scenario? Is 4th place a possibility, or what would you say is the best case scenario? This can be for anyone.
8th place is the best case scenario for me. This team is just not that talented. It's not. And like I said earlier, you have an inexperienced backfield, really a quarterback you don't know what you got in. Everybody's high on him, but then again, he still only completed 36% of his passes. He doesn't have a touchdown pass in his career stats yet. You don't know what you have on the offense, and defensively, they're better than they were last year, but you still don't know what you have, and I still think they're just too young. I still think they're a year away, even though I feel like we've been saying that for the last 3 years.
Yeah. But I think 41 drop passes last year absolutely killed this offense. And the wide receiver core could be one of the most underrated in the country. So, I mean, I don't mean to be going back and forth with you, but I think
you're fine.
But yeah, I think this is definitely the best team that Charlie Weiss has had here.
No question.
But that's a relative term.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I also think the team is better, but I thought 9th was a little high. All of those, the 2 games that I thought that they could win, I mean, they could lose.
Absolutely. So kind of mixed, feelings. This is arguably one of the most talented teams Weiss has had here at Kansas, so we'll see how the season plays out. My name is Brian with Stella, Dan, and Shane. Thank you for watching the Kansan 2014 football preview show. Go to kansan.com for all your coverage of 2014 Kansas football. Thank you.